We're back with part 2 of this GCF stuff. We're going to talk about the GCF of if you have two terms with variables, what's the greatest common factor? So in this case, when you're talking about with variable, the variable, it must be in both. It must occur in both expressions. So it must be in both of them for them to have it in common, which makes sense. And then you take the smallest exponent. So for instance, this one, let me rewrite this in case it's hard to see. It's x squared y 6, and then it's x to the 4th, y to the 3rd, z. So the GCF of these, again, the variable's got to be in both of them. So if we look at x, it's in both of them. So we can take out the smallest x. We have x squared, and we have x to the 4th. So the GCF would be x squared. Then we look at y. We have y to the 6th and y to the 3rd. So it's in both of them. So we can take out the smallest one, which would be y to the 3rd. And then z is only in the bottom one, right? It's not in the top one. So we can't take out z. So this would be our GCF of these two terms. X squared y to the 3rd. So let's do another one. I'm not going to do these yet. Let's just do another one. I'll just make it up real quick. Something like P3 and P. The GCF for these, they both have P. We have to take the smallest one. So it would just be P, right? P1 is smaller than P cubed. Another example here. We have x to the 4th, y to the 3rd, and then we have x to the 6th, y to the 2nd. The GCF, they both have x and they both have y, so we take the smallest. So x4 is smaller than 6, and y2 is smaller than 3. Again, pretty simple. It just has to be in both, and you're taking the smallest one. So if you have something like x to the 4th, y, and then x to the 10th, the GCF between these two would just be x to the 4th, because they both have x. The smallest x is x to the 4th, and they do not have both have y, so the only thing you can take is that smallest x. And just like that last one with the numbers, you could have more than one term. You have x to the 4th, y to the 2nd, z, and then x to the 2nd, y to the 3rd, z to the 4th, and x to the 6th, y to the 8th. Right? If we had these three terms, we would look and see that they all have x. So we can take the smallest one, which would be x squared. Then we can see that they all have y. So we could take the smallest y, which here is also y squared. And then we could take the smallest z. We could not take the smallest z, right? I'm tricking myself because this one doesn't have z. When I looked to see which was the smallest z, I noticed this didn't have it. So we can't take out a z. They all have to have the same variable. And this one does not have a z, so we cannot take it out. So the GCF for these three terms is this here. I don't think it's super difficult, and we're going to practice next. So let's stop this one, and then we'll go to the next video and practice.